Ladies and gents, Omsuji Reacts, and this is Final Fantasy 15 review, BTS Adventures. Final Fantasy is Japanese, not Korean. This is for the channel Maxer. It's up to one boy band to fight for the heart and soul of South Korea. What? It's South Korean? I thought it was Japanese. Final Fantasy is Japanese, isn't it? Wait a second. Wait a minute, okay. It's Japanese game, not Korean, but okay, I guess it's a joke from Maxa. Alright, Final Fantasy 15, I guess it's an old game. If I remember, this is a remake, right? Final Fantasy 15, this is a remake here, because I remember Clueless Gamer video by Conan, right? Where he played that with the Lord of the Rings, guy, I forgot, Elijah Woods. Yeah. So in that, basically he basically hated the game. I mean, obviously that doesn't mean much, because if you just play a game for 15 minutes and you hate it, I mean, you can play Skyrim for 15 minutes and you'll probably hate the game, right? Some games you just need to play longer for actually get the feel of it. But in that, he said that there was a monster that you're supposed to fight, and it takes real world 48 hours. Like actual, like you're gonna play a game right now for 3 hours, then save or something, and then gonna play again. It will take what, a week or something before you even finish the boss. How the fuck do you fight a boss for 48 hours straight? I don't know. I feel like their stats is misguided or something. But let's see what Maxer says about it. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more. Check out the reaction. There's a link in the description. Check out the cards. Check out the cards, and yeah, let's watch it.
There are spoilers in the video. Spinal Stagnancy 15 is one of the most unintentionally funny games ever made, and I don't award that distinction lightly. It's trying its best. In this game, you play as John Fantasy, an intrepid prince of insomnia, accompanied by the BTS crew as they travel across Korea in their bid to dodge the draft and re-establish the Joseon dynasty with Jungkook as their one true king. If you can think of it, 15 has it. Do you want to conscript God to kill endangered animals, entering Super Saiyan mode to kill a sea snake, compress a mountain-sized turtle into a black hole, and break the entire game's leveling system because of lasagna? Yeah, that's possible. Is it a good game? Well, that's debatable. The original director wanted to make the game a musical, but thank God they added the hyper-realistic pizza. It just wouldn't be the same. This game is one of the most baffling design disasters that I've ever seen, and showing it to you in its full absurd glory is a service to my country. With Hurricane...
Okay, so I guess Max still thinks this is a disaster. After watching that Jensen Impact review, where obviously Maxer implied the game sucks, and the way he saw the review, it looked like the game sucks. But apparently people, overwhelmingly told me in the comments the game is actually good. And Maxer's main point is entertainment. So I don't know. I don't know what to take of this. I guess I'm gonna, just approach this with okay, this is probably Maxer is joking about or something. But Final Fantasy, I've never played a game, but I'm pretty sure this is one of the most famous series out there. People love it. All the details. In this game, I guess there are way too many RPG elements where you can do lots of, you can just chill here and there. You can do some activity here and there, and then also hunt monsters, solve quests or whatever.
Force tonal shifts, batshit story, and utterly incomprehensible combat. There is no part of this game that didn't surprise me, although I don't think they intended that. So come along as we dive headfirst into the boy band madness and recall the finest game of 2016. If you know any Latin, this game is fucking insulting. Our story begins with the king of Korea, whose name is King Lightheaven, the 113th. I looked it up on the wiki. Their dynasty is only 2,000 years old, meaning for him to be there, every single male king must have fucked at 17. Maximum. He's busy disowning his son and our protagonist, Knight Lightheaven, in hopes that he will get some blonde bitch pussy. Noctis, my son, I have erectile dysfunction. It's here that we're introduced to our buddies, the BTS boys, and all of their unique mechanics. Quicksilver is a light Slovenian femboy who exclusively fights through small arms fire. Fire Knowledge is a smart calculating man who shanks you with rusty knives. And Sword Friendship is a burly, reliable bear who hits people with giant chunks of metal. With our friends assembled in our car out of gas, it's time to begin the game in earnest. Now, it's surprising to me that they actually struggled to push their car, since Noctis can deflect punches from a fucking giant. This sets in motion a series of quirky adventures to satiate...
Seriously, this is the problem I have with this anime type of video games, right? Over the top fighting scenes where somebody just takes one massive giant sword and swings it, and I guess create an earthquake type of scenario. Like, what the fuck? How the fuck do you have that kind of strength? And also, yeah, when he stops a giant's foot by just his sword and his strength, like, you have that kind of power. You can push a car. I'm pretty sure the giant's foot have by hundreds of tons of pressure, right? That is stopping. He can't push a what? 3-ton car?
The bloodlust of Park Ji-min. It's time to talk about that combat, or better known as a 19th century safari. Take that, Cecil the Lion. When it works, you're dashing between enemies, performing mid-air backflips, and teleporting around fast enough to burn my graphics card. For the other half, though, it's imbalanced as fuck. Let's go on a quest to explore a level 20 cave. In order to get there, you'll have to drive down the street, take the path, and fight the mandatory level 54 Giga Snake. Endgame bosses are level 53. I'm not even 10 hours in. Fortunately, you could run right past it and straight into the instant kill crabs. I'm convinced they put this here by accident. There is no reasonable explanation. So how do we stop getting crabs like your dad? Noctis has 4 slots to use 4 weapons of various movesets, including swords, bigger swords, London resident, hydraulic press channel, rock on a stick, gun, and magic. Mind Freak is pretty cool, but bullets work a little faster. Each enemy reacts differently to each weapon, forcing you to switch up your playstyle, or alternatively, just hold down the sword button and watch the game play itself. I can just feel the variety. But by far, the best weapon in your arsenal is the point warp, which allows you to travel arbitrary distances at will. Oh, buddy, hang on. I see a pixel like 5 miles away. The primary contributor towards the game actually being fun is point warp, even when I use it to cheese the game. Not to mention, the animation budget is absurd. Every time you hit someone's back, every single time you parry a boss, for every boss, there is a unique animation. You can really feel the animator sweat as he nears the end of his 13-hour Japanese workday at the Square Enix Insane Asylum, leaping 60 feet to stab a dog.
Oh god, I remember, Sas, there's a stat that Japan, living in Tokyo is very depressing because of how the way it's made, right? One of the biggest city, if the biggest city in the world, where, metropolitan areas really jammed up with massive, skyscrapers and buildings all around. And if you live there because of too many concretes and things, it's kind of a depressing environment or something like that. So I don't know which topic that was, where I read that, like, living in Tokyo at first you'll feel, oh, this is awesome, but eventually start to get depressed. Now imagine being a developer in Tokyo. Developers' lives are already fucked up and stressful, right? I'm properly stressful. I don't know how most of them are not depressed. Because by the end, their grinding hours are ridiculous. They have to constantly be on the laptop, constantly fucking doing that thing. And you're doing OCD like, this is about right, or should I do it again? And now doing this kind of a shit. This is ridiculous.
A mid-air sword fight, and a triple backflip to dunk a crocodile. It's all here, and it's really janky. A common theme for Final Fantasy 15 is that it's fun when it works, but it doesn't often work. So before our thrilling performance in a fucking Dongduchon, I'm losing my mind. It's important that we go over the rest of our thrilling Korean lore to answer such questions as, why has our dad sent us to Nevada? Why is the cow big? Why won't a virtual YouTuber Tsunamaki Watami collaborate with me? There are 6 gods or some shit, and they made humans for fun. Big mistake. These include Dwayne The Rock Johnson, The Wizard, The Snake, The Unsafe for YouTube, Unlimited Blade Works, and the God of Breakdancing. The Tango Totem in particular was very helpful and told us how to turn on our stove. From this, the beautiful and powerful civilization of Solheim had risen to try and kill the gods immediately, presumably with enough nukes to make Belka look like Clown College. This, of course, forces the dancing deity to strike them down, creating demons and alternative political philosophies. This pisses everyone off and begins the First Korean War, forcing the gods to give the kings of Lucis some cool swag and the K-pop crystal, forever dividing humanity and preventing the manifestation of white people juche. So after the defeat of the Samba Scourge, the gods took a
Obviously, lots of things that he's saying here is probably a joke, and changing the storyline in a way. But this is not an incorrect summary. This is a review. He should have named this incorrect summary or something. But I guess in incorrect summary, literally talks about the plot line, but changes stuff as a parody. I guess this is not that. So it's kind of a between incorrect summary review. 'Cause I'm pretty sure he's talking about storylines here that is not accurate.
Nap for like several thousand years, leaving the maintenance of Earth to the kings of Lucis, apparently seeing no problem with this. So anyways, the Niflheim Empire just takes over the entire planet using an army of Juche demon terminators. Their new goal is to kill all of the gods again, except this time while they're sleeping. And by the time our game begins, the kingdom of Lucis has retreated to one city. I guess the god's blessing is just shit. Now, what do you think
I love how they put a feature in where you have to put petrol in the car, but at the same time you can ride around in chicken. again. I mean, maybe realistic scenario is not your best bet right now. Maybe you should let go of the element of petrol.
Happens the literal instant that you leave the city for an arranged marriage with the Empire. Do I hear skydiving?
There'll be no wedding bells for today.
I mean, I guess the plot has to happen sometime.
I got spurs that jingle.
No, not this music.
This emotional and life-changing moment affects our protagonist greatly. Everything he's ever known has been destroyed, and nothing will ever be the same again. Hey, Noctis, you want to go ride some boids? Ho ho! It's almost enough to make you forget about your dead family. With our lives permanently destroyed, it's time for Noctis to begin the true trials of a king. The first step of which is to find all of the tombs of previous kings spread throughout the world and steal their shit so we can enter Super Saiyan mode. Thanks, Grandpa. Your ashes were delicious. This is when the problems begin, and they don't end. Director Tetsuya Nomura was, to put it lightly, a fucking batshit. Again, he tried to make the game a musical because he watched Les Miserables once. There is no escaping the ghost of cut content. It has so many unique and amazing locations that you see one time. It's as if the game has too much money, but the budget had to be prioritized by fucking Cleverbot. This took 10 years and 2 engines to make. When you play the main quest, it introduces some new characters in elaborate cutscenes and then kills them in a minute. You would think the open world would be some relief from this, but no, the car is on rails. They didn't even program driving. What does that remind you of? Speaking of things that the developers forgot to do, side quests, there's a few of them, but out of the 206 possible activities, there were only 2 that were good. How can this be? Well,
What?
the best way to describe why is to engage in one, and I think this market looks like a great place to start. Hey, what's up, king of the planet? So I was driving my car, and I just so happened to kill my wife by crashing into a tree at 90 miles per hour. Sounds good. I need you to go find my mangoes. You're fucking what? I left them in the truck after killing my wife in a car crash.
I don't think your problem is mangoes.
Can you find my mangoes?
All right.
We'll just go and find the mangoes. Wow, look at these bees. Thank you for finding...
Seriously, man. One thing I learned from Witcher 3, right? Developers should learn from Witcher 3 is activities are awesome, right? I mean, the latest trend in open world games, even the GTA 5 had this, is add more and more things to do that makes your world more immersive. Great. But if you don't have side quests, many of the side quests that you can really play, you left out the core element from any open world game, right? I mean, it's not a linear game where you just follow the main story wherever it leads you. It's an open world game. And you can't just, oh, look at that, you can go to that mountain, you can go to that desert and do fucking what? Right? Oh, there are some activities. I don't want to, go to fishing or anything. Give me side quests, man. In Witcher 3, there were many side quests that were tailored. There were, fucking Witcher contracts. It was ridiculous how many content Witcher 3 had. Right? There was a moment where I'm like, holy shit, this is too much content. And I'm the Elder Scrolls guy who plays game for 200-300 hours. And that game is not even that big, but it felt like too many things because it was all, tailored made, I guess. Every single quest was awesome.
Finding the mangoes that I lost when I killed my wife. A while back, I lost a few apples on the side of the road while driving at 90 miles
let's go do that.
Apparently, because they didn't have enough money to waste, Square Enix put a cup noodles quest into the game. The characters actively rant about the deliciousness of cup noodles.
They're easy to make whenever you've got a craving, and they're delicious to boot.
Let's not forget about the dress, the wedding dress that they talk about.
If you take something already delicious like cup noodles and add in the finest, freshest ingredients, what do you get? The ultimate flavor experience.
So heading through the map's disguised hallways on our disguised train, we travel between locations, interspersed between vast stretches of absolute nothingness. This game already looks great. Our gang rides to the city of Lestalem in search of Noctis's ibuprofen. Fortunately, this well-dressed and not suspicious individual has all of the answers that we need. This is Arden, a man who is incapable of speaking normally.
Aren't nursery rhymes curious things?
What a
What? He
douchebag.
is willing to lead us to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's medicine cabinet, and we accept without hesitation.
Every time there's a character from these games, right? The Devil May Cry had that V character, right? Who just walked around and talked in some kind of a fashion. Somebody should go, what a douchebag.
So after entering his white van with free My Chemical Romance CDs, we arrive at Dwayne "The Rock" skyrocketing rockslide rocket sprocket.
I came here to clear a headache.
So for Noctis to gain the gods' power and defeat the Empire for good, he has to beat half of them up. Kind of like the Empire does, but he's the correct family of inbred designer dogs, so it's different. A prolonged and painful fight against Dwayne's masturbation arm ensues, really highlighting this game's focus on spectacle at the expense of my sanity. But eventually, we scratch his arm into respecting us and he McFucking kills everyone in a 90-mile radius.
Hello bitches, I'm with the Empire now, and furthermore, I've stolen your car. Get the fuck inside or this volcano will turn your penis inside out.
You know, it's very nice that Arden gave us a lift up twice. I wonder if we'll see more of him. Next on the list of gods to impress is Gandalf, who just kind of lives in the woods that we've already explored. I think they ran out of time for this one, because the only thing standing between us and him is one cave that you walk through it. Maybe romance a snake or two. Oh man, guys, she's real cute, I don't know what to say. Bada bing, bada doovel. We've got...
Oh god, another element, right? I mean, I know it's too much to ask of an open world developer to know things like this, because it's already hard work. When you make an open world game, it's really fucked up, right? To, you know, make sure everything works perfectly. But sometimes you explore an area is empty, right? And then you realize later on that there is a massive boss here, and you're like, what the fuck? I just explored this cave, there was nothing there. Now there's a boss. And not just that, they tailor sometimes the quest in a way that you're supposed to approach the boss, and during that journey, you come across lots of hurdles, like it's a challenge just to get there. Just a few hours ago, I was just walking around this cave like it's nothing. I mean, it's okay if it's a smaller map, right? Where how many things how many places can you add, right? So it's a limitation. But if it's a giant map, you couldn't find any other place where you could put this, where you can't approach before this quest or something like that. Block it cleverly.
Got his approval. That took like 20 minutes. This game is more rushed than a fucking Chinese high-rise. From this moment going forward, the game has effectively destroyed all possible tension. By having Noctis be explicitly assisted by fucking Zeus, Final Fantasy 15 becomes a game about the gods being lazy. How's this for a mechanic? The gods' help is summoned randomly. Oh man, Noctis, you're fighting like 90 demons down there? You can handle that, good luck. Don't worry, Noctis, I will be the one to save you from these 3 very threatening giraffes. You can thank me later. You know, we've gotten pretty used to this game. The vast open world, the fruit truck incident, or having a car. We'll throw that shit in the trash. This game turns from an open world adventure into a linear corridor halfway through, although that's giving the open world a lot of credit. I don't think I'm going to miss this guy. From this point onward, we are eternally trapped in the cut content zone. The devs made a nearly perfect recreation of Venice with no side quests in it. Look at the detail of this town, the beautiful architecture, the unique art. I was there for 10 minutes. Once. It's actually impressive that they're willing to waste this much time. Even the NPCs in this...
Seriously, man, that just hurts looking there. First of all, when I saw the, the trailer of Fallout 76, and, not trailer, the E3 thing of Fallout 76, where they showed how many things and how many different structures at the different level, vertical level, there are mountains, and God, it's a 4 times big map than Fallout 4. Right, and see all the different epic things that you can see in Fallout engine, basically. It'll look epic. And then realize, oh fuck me, it's an open world game with no NPC in it. It just feels like, come on man, all of this great creation, all of this great map they created gonna get wasted. This is similar to that. Look at the city, how incredible the city is. There should be at least, 30-40 hours of content at least. If not 10 hours, then add in DLC or something. Why would you let this go to waste? I was going to play Final Fantasy eventually 15 or whatever. I think this was one of the latest ones I was going to play this. But now I don't know, man. If there is no side quest, you just walk around, that's going to get boring fast. If it's a point of the game is just fight bosses, I don't know, man.
Town are just fucking off. The bartender for the only restaurant in the city talks like he wants to fucking eat you. What the fuck do you mean, Eldritch Abomination, Satoshi? Get back to the office right now and animate another 100 backflips. So after owning God 1 and God Nude, it's up to Noctis and the Boctis to head to the Imperial capital and retrieve our K-pop crystal. That is until Arden shows up and he derails the entire fucking plot.
Sup, bitch?
It turns out that Arden isn't just with the Empire, he is the fucking Empire. Oh, and also he can teleport, is literally immortal, has stabbed my wife, and also is going to kill the fucking sun. All that we have to do to stop him is enter the city of Pyongyang and endure his weaponless cock and ball torture dungeon. This man has gone from helping us to literally trying to gas me. Of course, doing so to trap Noctis in a pocket dimension for 10 years and fight the sun. That way, he can kill the gods and the true king while he's a consenting adult. If this all sounds confusing or stupid, stupid, don't worry, I don't have time to explain. You're totally free to watch the 5-episode anime series, animated episode art and prologue, all 4-character DLC, and the full Kingsglaive Final Fantasy 15 movie if you want the full context for what's happening. That's a very ambitious of you, Square Enix.
Man.
In fact, they retroactively updated the game to contain scenes from the movie because it just didn't make enough sense. Now it's up to us to fight Arden in the future. This is of course the part where the developers realized they had too many bosses since this game was planned as well as the Great Leap Forward, so they make us fight like 5 in a row. That is some pacing. Not to mention, they're all very difficult. One might say absolutely unplayable. As it turns out, valuing your own time by not playing the shitty fetch quests gives your experience vastly below what is expected. We aren't even strong enough to fight the big snake. I could go back and do some quests if I...
Fuck you. I hate that. That particular... If you're forced to do fetch quests because developers just assume you're gonna do them and just, scale the level that way, and you're under-leveled, and when you reach there you're gonna get your ass kicked, that just pisses me off. Right? Fetch quests are really annoying. One thing I hated in Skyrim was fetch quest, because at the start I didn't realize that there's such thing as fetch quests, right? So I just played them and realized, wait a minute, this is fucking repeating and annoying as fuck, right? And after that, I'm like, every time I approach a quest, I was like skeptical. Is this real? Is this fetch quest? There was always that feeling. Witcher 3 had none of it, right? This is why people love Witcher 3 and think this is the game of the decade. There was no fucking fetch quest.
I was fucking stupid. No, we're going to do something much worse. So what you're gonna want to do is travel back in time to Venice and endure the 5 minutes of gondola riding. You cannot skip it. We do this to head to the cannibal restaurant and dine on some photorealistic lasagna. This step is non-negotiable. Next, what you're gonna want to do is time travel further in the past to Nevada. Watch out for this guy. He might try to steal the platinum chip. Go and initiate the quest where you're supposed to fight the huge fucking Blastoise for 2 hours. You can try to summon God, but he is powerless against... You're supposed to fight the huge fucking Blastoise for 2 hours.
2 hours? Why did the developer set to Conan or whatever that it takes real 48 hours or something like that? If it just takes 2 hours. Did they patch it or something?
You can try to summon God, but he is powerless against the big turtle. Congratulations, you've unleashed unstoppable death into this world, and now it's up to you to destroy it. This is the Ring of the Lucio. You get it after visiting the 2-hour ball-twisting dungeon and can be used to compress enemies out of existence. For no discernible reason, it works on the turtle, instantaneously killing him via compression into a stellar object. That is a lot of XP. Now, XP is applied only when you sleep and can be enhanced by sleeping in a hotel, which is multiplied by 3 if you eat lasagna. It's time to travel back to the future, into an alternate fucking timeline where we've gone Garfield, and by editing the past in Nevada, we have altered the future. Congratulations, you now have the XP equivalent of 3 giant turtles. The game is over. Why even play anymore? All that's left is to strut back to the Arden Gauntlet and let the game play itself. Just take caution when time traveling that you do not get absorbed into the eternally falling hellscape. Now we can break through Arden's big cocoon using the help of each god individually. Although, they apparently can't just kill him because that would free me from this nightmare. Your wife's ghost also shows up, and I'm gonna be honest, I forgot that Lunafreya was in the game because she's a walking plot device. The game has no autonomous women in it, very based of you, Japan. As for the ending of the game, it's everything that the developers had left over. Big Dog, fuck it, he's in the game now. Breakdancing man, yeah, do it, just put him in the geometry. Hey Noctis, I need your help to retrieve 10 metal after I killed my wife. I thought I was done with this. And of course, killing Noctis's grandparents with a fucking bazooka. So by the time we've reached what is essentially the Joker, I can say with confidence that I am fucking done. It's very fitting that Arden's only motivation as a villain is to personally screw with me until the final battle, because that's exactly what the game has accomplished. The game even says it out loud.
Spite's all that's kept him going.
Really, you're gonna go with just spite. Killing Arden is pretty much a formality at this point, only made more expedient when God gets off his ass and actually helps me by ruining the final boss fight. What a cool mechanic. Much like the rest of the game, I don't know what's happening, and yet I'm winning. Now as I watch—
Wait a minute, so gods appear randomly? Like mysterious stranger from New Vegas? That would piss me off. If I had control over, like, call the god strike or whatever, then I understand that I might not use it very much because I want to feel it challenging. If they just appear out of nowhere, it's like, what the fuck, man? Why would you do that? Right? All the build up and all the, feeling, accomplishment just went out of the window. That would be just fucked up. Yeah, look, any game, right, where you build up your character from nothing to really badass. And in that game, if you don't get, acknowledged that you're badass, that kind of pisses me off overall. That Metal Gear video, I think, right? That was that Metal Gear 3, 4, I don't know, or some other, the spin of the Rising or whatever, I don't know. In that, there is boss. Obviously, in that it's done right. It's comedic way, the way it's done, right? Where you're just basically your enemy just, doesn't matter what you do, just says you're not based and you just sucks and just always have the upper hand. It's done a bit different way. But usually whenever a game does that, that pisses me off. Right, like it doesn't matter what you do, your enemy just comes and just that make you look like a bitch. That's just like, come on, really? After spending all this hour building my character, this is what you're gonna do? So RPG element, open world game where you build your character, storylines should be tailored in a way that it actually acknowledge what you did. Like if you become really powerful, grind your way into becoming more powerful, game should acknowledge that at least. I mean, in Witcher 3, there is the first DLC, Blood and Wine. No, that's not the first one. The first DLC where you fight an immortal guy, right, at the first time. And that fight is incredibly hard. But if you just stuck through it and just win it in the end, there's a feel of accomplishment. Obviously, the guy doesn't die, he's immortal, but you just break his neck and just be like, yeah, man, Witcher, alright. Something like that should be in the game.
Noctis painfully throw his body onto the various
Today's
things of light.
subject, unconventional warfare tactics.
The game even feels the need to be so ridiculous and dramatic that Noctis McFucking kills himself so that he can double kill Arden in the afterlife. But really, that's just part of the charm. Final Fantasy 15 realizes to some extent just how ridiculous it's being. The fact that it doesn't care for even a second how much money it throws away, how over the top the set pieces are, or just how fucked up the pacing is kind of endearing. The game has altered genres hour by hour. It has both too much money and not enough money. It's both an open world game and a string of set pieces. And the combat is great. Or it's terrible. One could say it depends on your outlook. There's this moment near the end of the game where it asks you to reflect. It's taken pictures of you throughout the game, and I was going to choose the one that exemplified my playthrough. I didn't think that it meant much until the final cutscene where Noctis shows a picture of the massive turtle to his wife, looking fondly back at all the broken experiences he went through, and I burst out laughing for several minutes. Nothing will ever describe to you what the game is about more than that. This product is not worth any of your money. It will never be. But holy shit, maybe it was worth my time.
Stick around if you want to hear the music drop. If you enjoy this video but aren't yet subscribed, it's an easy way to see more. Okay, is there anything more?
I would like to thank the Illuminati for funding this channel with their reptilian dark money to prevent...
Yeah, okay, it's a music. Alright, so Final Fantasy 15. Look, only thing that I would really, I mean, I'm a fine, when it comes to game, I'm tolerant enough, right? So the game, the way it looks, right, the boss fighting is fine too. Overall, it's a good game. The only thing that would, make me not play this game is lack of side quests. I mean, you can have a million different activities. You can have a separate boss fights that main quest doesn't take you. You just have to do it, explore. It's all fine. But if there is no side quest and it's just fetch quest, that would start to get on my nerve. After 10 or so hours, I'll be like, maybe I'm not going to play this game. I mean, it has side quests make you, if you tailor the side quest just for the character, like this is a king or prince or whatever. So you tailor side quest just for him in a way, right? It's a hard thing to do, but if you can do it, that would be an incredible game. But I don't know, because of lack of side quests, I don't know. But the game looks epic. It's, half done, let's just say. Because of all the great maps, all the look at how this alone, how awesome it looks, right? All the great maps and great locations, but there's nothing to do, no side quests. That entire city for nothing. I mean, you would come across that city and like, holy shit, I'm gonna spend a few hours here. No, you're not. There's nothing much to do here. Well, people, that was Final Fantasy 15 review in quotation mark by the channel Maxer. If you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe, check out the reaction, this link in the description, check out the cards, and yeah, I'll see you next time.